Hey guys, I'm Azra, and in this Lord of the Rings Rise to War video I'm going to show you a build for the Undying, because right now I am in Tactics Evolved. We just have 1 day left before we end in backend, so we had plenty of time getting our upgrades to 10 out of 10. I had a few players help me out, and let me give a big shout out to Luthien, Sander, Nate, Permake, and also Darkness. You guys rock. We just had a bit of time left, but we still managed to get these experiments out. So here comes a very viable army composition for the Undying I just discovered in this season. Let's have a look into the gear I am equipping right now. So here we have Cutlass with melee might, Superior Hauberk with melee vigor, and Cask of Pride, Fortitude of Soldiers, and Palantir of Orphanc with tactical mark. If you want to get best in slot items for him, instead of Cutlass, I would try to get a Reckoning with Might of Soldiers. That'd be definitely the best weapon for the Undying. And instead of a Hauberk, if you can get a hold of a Warborn Battleplate with Fortitude of Soldiers, that would be biz as well. Sometimes you may need to equip a Quilted Armor with Focus Protection, just in case you are fighting something focus damage heavy, just Galadriel, or let's say you are fighting Gandalf the White with this Respect 10 item. A few times refined, it starts to hurt with focus damage, or let's say against the King of the Dead with Oathbreakers. Anyway, as your helmet choices, you have 2 helmets. One would be Cask of Pride with Fortitude of Soldiers, but I don't think that this is the best in slot item for the Undying, since he is running a 3-unit army composition, and that army comp is very susceptible to army madness. And in order to be safe against army madness, there is just one helmet he can equip. For example, the Horseman's Helm with Resolve if it comes to purple gear, but if it comes to golden gear, you want to equip the Cask of the Submerged Isle with Aegis, and then you're good to go. And as your accessory, well, Palantir of Orphanc with tactical mark is already one of the best items. Whenever you are fighting like a Grima or Gil-Galad, you just need this. Or how about a Drums of Barad-dûr with Might of Soldiers? So let me max this out. You see plus 12% increased damage for your melee units. I think this is the best in slot accessory for the Undying. And after that comes the Palantir of Orphanc with tactical mark. But anyway, before we move over to the battle reports, this is the build I am running right now. I have dropped the 7 points from Chilling Edge, since this is only needed whenever we are fighting commanders who benefit by focus a lot, like Galadriel, or Gandalf the White with Magical Barrier. Like, the Magical Barrier is giving additional plus defense. With this, you can just take that away. Alright, instead I invested the points into Undertaker and delayed Plague to have more burst damage from the Undying himself. This is the troop composition I was referring to. It is very deadly, very viable. I didn't expect this to be that good. Now let's get into it. Let's see what I have over here. I have Wraiths, I have Vanguards, and Fallen. Why does this make so much sense? Let's jump over to the Wraiths first. So overall, they do a decent amount of damage. Like, damage range is quite decent. It is close minimum and maximum range. You can rely on this damage a lot. And also you get 100 units per command. These units are just very weak. They need some kind of protection, which is why one of their special abilities is crucial for this to work, which is called Prowl. Random melee units take normal attack damage on Wraith behalf. No effect if no allied units remain. So as long as you have these units in your army and other units, they redirect the damage meant towards them to the other unit. That means you have to make sure that the other unit who is receiving the damage is tanky enough. That is the first point. And also, if possible, do the tanky units somehow benefit by getting hit? And there are a few units who really benefit by getting hit. Let's have a look to the other units. One of those units benefiting are Vanguards. So first of all, the stats are kind of okay. Decent amount of damage, lots of HP, and high defensive stats. These units are true tanks. And in Tactics Evolve, they have access to parry. Well, as of now, they have access to it. I'm not sure if at the point where this video is coming out, they will have removed parry, but right now, parry is awesome for Vanguard. It's giving you a 30% chance to gain damage received, minus 30%. 30% a chance of proccing minus 30% damage mitigation. That is huge. But not just only that, in addition, you also get plus 30% damage as a stack until you hit. And this effect can stack. Imagine if 3 units were to attack Vanguards. That means 3 times 30% chance proc this effect. It can stack. I have seen some cases where this effect stacked all the way to plus 90% damage increase for your next attack. I saw it on Dunedain's. It is the same effect, but in future Tactics Evolved seasons, they took this effect away from Dunedain's. I assume they were too strong. That was the reason why. I'm not sure if in the future in Tactics Evolved, Vanguards will have access to parry. If yes, that is more the reason to stick to it. And while these units protect your Wraiths, they also enhance their own damage and the damage of your Wraiths with this special effect, Undead Ally. When allied undead are present, allied Vanguard and undead next hit damage dealt plus 30%. So there is a huge synergy going between Vanguards and also your Wraiths. The Vanguards get a power boost just as well as the Wraiths. In addition to that, the Wraiths also have one more interesting special effect called Corrupting Touch. This can stack up 5 times and it is decreasing the defense stat by 10% whenever you hit the enemy. It can stack up 5 times. That means you deal more physical damage with units who deal physical damage. Vanguards deal physical damage, and also these units, and also your Fallen. Guess what? You also have Perseverance as another special effect in Tactics Evolved. You stack damage with your Wraiths. You just need to make sure that these guys are protected, which you totally can with the Vanguard combination. Alright, so as you see, it just makes so much sense to run these units. Your Vanguards can even get more bulky if you get the last special effect unlocked, Fortitude of Evil Man. That way they receive 10% less damage from melee units. Also very amazing. And then you have Fallen as your last unit. Whenever your Vanguards aren't getting the damage misdirected towards them, you have Fallen. And Fallen also like to get hit. Why am I saying this? Because of the effect Spite. The more hits they take, the more damage they are going to deal. Spite can stack up 10 times. Whenever you get hit, you get a damage boost of plus 6%. That's also amazing. And as you see, lots of synergy between these 3 units. As a special effect, I have light armor for them, just so they become more bulky. And as a last special effect, they can get Fortitude of Evil Man as well. Even less damage received from melee units. And yeah, this is the army composition. You can just go with an equal amount of each of these units. It works. And again, shout out to all the players who were involved with the battle reports. Before we get started with the battle reports, let me mention something. In the past, whenever I PvP'd with my Undying, I noticed that he was very susceptible to high commander damage. Dwalin, Dain, Gimli, Aragorn T2 or King of Man. All of these damage dealing commanders were a big threat against my Undying. All of a sudden, I am capable of surviving those glass cannons. Look at this Dwalin report. So you have already seen my gear, my build and also the special effects of my units. Let's just immediately jump over to Dwalin. He has his Respect 10 item, Max Refined. He has a Warborn Battleplate Improved Shroud, then Iron Bassinet with Fortitude of Soldiers and Erebos Pride Might of Dwarves. And you see high respect level Dwalin. All of his skills make lots of sense. He has 2 decoy units just to absorb some damage. That way his main tanky units can stay alive much longer. Guardians are the main tanks. They have heavy shield here. Alright, that makes a lot of sense. But still, we managed to get this outcome. This is insane. Like, I was always losing my fights against the Dwalin, but with this army composition, it kinda works. Let's check out the snapshot page. We have done around 270k damage versus 190k-ish damage. And here, let's have a look in the detailed view. Wraiths are dealing lots of damage. And overall, like Vanguards, also 80k damage. Next report is against Gandalf the Grey, and he is running a very deadly combo. He is playing Arno, he has access to Rangers of the North, tanky ranged units, in combination with Vosis Hunters. And these units are so strong in Tactics Evolved. Everybody rushes to the camps of the Vosis Hunters whenever they play Tactics Evolved because of this special effect. Dual blows, 90% chance to gain follow-up. That's insane. And also plus 10% attack as a last special effect. And still, the Undying is one of the best ways to counter ranged units. And this is how hardcore he can counter them. Let's have a look into Gandalf the Grey's gear. He has a Mirkwood Bow with ranged might, Hunter Skin with guard, Trapper's Hood with ranged vigor, Wizard's Fireworks with ranged might. And he has invested all the points into the most important skills. He made sure to have blind sight every 3 rounds a stun. That is good. And like I I have nothing to say about this. It all makes sense. Okay, let's have a look into the snapshot page. We have done around 280k damage versus 70k-ish damage. In the detailed view, once more, our Wraiths ended up dealing the biggest amount of our damage, followed by our tanks, who did around the same amount of damage. Next up is against Theoden. Nothing has changed, same gear, same special effects, and this Theoden has these items. Hedogrim, his Respect 10 item, Quilted Armor with Focus Protection, Horseman's Helm, Resolve, Flame with Bane of Orcs, and yeah, like he made sure to max out Chaotic Retreat, that is crucial, as well as Mounted Combat. This is what I like to see. Like, this is what I truly consider a meta build Theoden. Riding excellence. Alright, that makes sense. His Bow Knights have Dispersion, then Cataphracts with Remedy, and Cavaliers with Rupture. Okay, let's see what we have here in the snapshot page. We have done almost 350k damage versus around 180k-ish damage. In the detailed view, once more, Wraiths ended up dealing the biggest amount of our damage. In this fight, we are up against a very strong Isildur player, one of the best I have seen in the game. Nate did a great job with his Isildur. So let's check out his build. He has maxed out his bottom Respect 0 tree. He is running a full range army composition. Before we go to them, let's check out the gear. Gigantic Hammer with Rend, Plate of the Citadel with Tactical Retreat. I like that special effect because he already has burst damage mitigation. What about taking care of the later rounds damage mitigation? With this, he can provide that. So I like what he is doing. Trapper's Hood with Hysteria, yeah, to get more value out of Enfeeble. That makes sense. Wizards Fireworks with Ranged Might. Like, this is a very deadly Isildur. Sentinels with Dispersion, Rangers of the North with Light Armor, and Sharpshooters with Dispersion as well. Let's check out the snapshot page. We have done around 250k damage versus 230k damage. This was a close call. Like, this Isildur is very strong. And the only reason why we didn't get destroyed in this fight was because his madness effect on round 1, Consequence of Greed, didn't take effect in his favor. Like, we resisted the madness on round 1. That's the only reason how we could survive this. Which is also why I keep saying, get yourself an Aegis helmet against commanders with madness. Or at least resolve. Anyway, let's finish this video by checking out the detailed view. You see, Wraiths consistently deal around 130k-ish damage. This is something you can count on. I have one more fight against another Isildur player, and this player invested even more into his madness build. I'm talking about the first 2 rounds of madness with the ability Ringbearer. Let's check out his gear. He has Mirkwood Bow with Ranged Might, Orberg with Fire Protection, Cask of the Submerged Style with Aegis, Wizard's Fireworks with Ranged Might. You see his top Respect 0 tree with Ring of Terror. Even more madness. That is insane. Followed by Enfeeble. He also made sure to max out Great King because of the, well, round 1 damage mitigation and the damage boost after round 2. Respect 5 also maxed out. All of the crucial abilities have been selected. And I consider this build one of the deadliest builds against my Undying. Like, I didn't expect to survive this madness bomb. His units have Dispersion, then Rangers of the North, Light Armor, Vosus Hunters with Dual Blows, of course. Very strong army composition. And in the snapshot page, we have done around 190k-ish damage versus 210k damage. In the detailed view, yeah, this is looking a bit worse than the report before. But if you were to carry Aegis or Resolve, you will change the outcome of this report by a lot. And here is my last report. It is against a strong Gil-Galad player. Let's check out his gear. Elven White Knife with Might of Elves, Hunter Skin with Ranged Vigor, Full Helm with Melee Vigor, and Harp of Lothlorien with Elf Strength. I'm happy that he put at least 1 point into Icicle, so he has the 100% stun on every 3 rounds against 2 targets. That's like, I have seen so many Gil-Galads who just skip that part. It is important to put 1 point into this. And the rest is just pretty much meta. I can't complain about this. It makes so much sense. Sentinels with Dispersion, Bow Knights with Dispersion as well, and Heralds with Light Armor. Alright, I see that this is the old Tactics Evolved special effects, because in every future Tactics Evolved, Bow Knights no longer have access to Dispersion. I think it was too strong. Instead, there are new special effects, and the best one is, I think, called Lethal Strike. After Bow Knights hit 1 target, they make sure that the target can't be healed for 1 round and also receive 20% more damage. I think that would be the go-to for any future seasons with Bow Knights. Anyway, let's check out the snapshot page. We have done almost 300k damage versus 140k-ish damage. And yeah, this time our Wraiths dealt around 100k damage. But you see, it's decent damage. The whole army contributed with an equal amount of damage. This is great. But there is also one big reason how we could have achieved this result. Remember, I have tactical mark. This is crucial against avoidance commanders. And Gil-Galad avoids for the first 2 to 3 rounds, depending on how much speed your units have. If Gil-Galad's units are slower than my units, they manage to evade until round 3. If they are faster than my units, the evade lasts until round 2. And what I have learned from this troop composition is the following. Whenever I play Angmar, I'm gonna give this another shot. They have access to Fallen, so it is great, and also Angmar is one of the closest factions who have access to Wraiths and Vanguards. These two units spawn around Rudaur and North Down Keep, and since they are very close to each other, they just work so well with Angmar. Like, the proximity of Angmar to these camps is very close. Give it a try. I can wholeheartedly recommend this troop composition. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a like, consider subscribing, maybe share the video. That is the best way of supporting me for free. And that being said, I see you guys next time.